I'm well aware today is not Sunday. Oh my god, Oni, please don't step on my computer. What is she doing? Why are you on a mission suddenly? Huh? Anyways, I'm well aware today is not Sunday. Ooh. And you'll get to hear why I didn't release this on a Sunday and instead I'm doing this on a Wednesday. It has been a wild week. You know, in the beginning, when I started podcasting, I always have this worry of if I wanted to update things on a weekly basis, what if nothing exciting happens? Then I don't really have something to tell. But still, I decided to, continue with podcasting, and I have been on hiatus here and there. But life just manages to conjure up things that I didn't anticipate before, and this week is the same. I've had the most chaotic week and a half in quite a while, and I'm gonna tell you all about it. Starting from last Wednesday, we're gonna do a full circle to today. Almost every single day had something happening. It's wild. So let's get into it. Oh, I don't have my water. So you go ahead and hydrate yourself. And Uni's doing the same with her wet food. So here we go. So let me take you back to Wednesday. Actually, no, not really. I will take you back to 7 days a week, my struggle bus version, because the week prior to last week, I had this whole mental breakdown. I feel like it's a little bit exaggerated now looking back, but I was basically panicking because I realized I needed to secure a job as soon as possible because of the visa I was trying to get and the tight timeline that I have between now and when my visa expires. So last week, I was, between the week prior, so like Thursday of that week, all the way to last week, I was just aggressively applying for jobs. And I heard back from this one place. And actually, he was a recruiter. So I started speaking to this recruiter, and we had like a Skype interview, and then he managed to secure kind of like an interview for me. So initially, it was going to be over Skype because of the human resource person was overseas. But then he asked me, hey, are you able to do an in-person interview? I was like, I much prefer in-person interview versus Skype because it just feels different. It feels less formal. So I said, yeah, I'm down to do it. And then he asked me when I was free. So usually for me, on Wednesdays, that's when I have my half days. Half day meaning I get out of work at 7. So I was like, I can do it on Wednesday. And then he asked me what time. Well, I said, given that I get out of work at 7, I'm assuming wherever I have to go is going to be a little bit farther away. So I said anytime after 7:30, it's fine with me. So he scheduled an appointment at 8 p.m. And then he sends me over this location and I look at it and I'm like, wait a minute, this is like 11 minutes away from me, as in where I currently work. So I walked there and I arrived at like 7:15. So I was 45 minutes early to my interview. And I thought to myself, if I don't have a place to wait upstairs, then I would just maybe go to a cafe shop and prep my classes for the next day. But once I got there, the front desk staff was like, well, you can kind of chill in this meeting room and then whenever they're ready, they will come in. And I was like, okay. So I sat there in this big old meeting room and I started prepping my classes for Friday. Then I think at around 7:30, my interviewer walked in and then she was like, are you Julie Chen? I was like, yes, that is me. And she said, we can actually start now if you're okay. Because when I walked in, I could hear them probably in another meeting room interviewing someone because they were doing it in English and then they were like asking questions back and forth. So I was like, okay, I'm ready because, the sooner I finish, the sooner I go home, right? I think going into the interview, my mentality was, at the time, I was really, really desperate for a job. But also, I try to stay logical that I didn't want to put too much meaning into this interview just in case if I failed, right? Because if I pour my heart and soul into this freaking interview and then I end up not passing or anything, whoa, hey, what are you doing? Or if anything happens, then I would feel very discouraged and I'll feel even more sad. So I'm like, okay, let's just be level-minded. But I still wanted to do enough research about this place so that I'm not like showing up unprofessional. So I looked at their curriculums, I looked at their levels, I wrote everything down, like everything I could find that's relevant to what I want to ask. I wrote it down in my little handy dandy Muji notebook, and then I brought it with me to the interview. So prior to the interviewer coming in, I was like reviewing these little points and then the logistical questions that I wanted to ask them. And we started. So we started the interview kind of just with me asking the questions that I wanted to ask. And I think, let me check. What did I ask? Interview. Okay, I asked, what does the academic calendar look like, right? When do the terms start and end? Because every academy have different schedules. Generally the same, but I still want to know what they were going to be like because they teach a specific grade. So they teach level, not level, grade 1 through 4th. Meanwhile, my current job, we kind of teach anywhere around like 3rd grade all the way up to middle school, 2nd grade. So they have a very different schedule, very different term length. And then my second question was about, is there a team manager who's responsible for the foreign staff? Because, communication is key. And if something happens, I need to know where I can get help from, right? I need to know that I'm supported. Then I asked, I saw on their website and it says that they have an incentive program. I was like, what is that incentive program? I had an inkling what that would be. And I was thinking it's probably like summer and winter camp. So we currently do summer and winter camp as well. And I was wondering if it's going to be compensated. And they said yes and yes, we do have camps both in summer and winter, and also it will be compensated. Then I asked them, what would be my day-to-day responsibilities? What would my schedule look like? And then they told me all these details. And then they also explained, vacation days, etc. What are some of their expectations and how would my schedule look like if I didn't have my own class? Because this place is more like you become a homeroom teacher. Whereas at my current place, I'm just kind of like I'm on a rotation. One person will come in and teach this component, one person will come in and teach another component. But this one is more like you are the writing teacher, you are the grammar teacher, you are the listening teacher, you're the reading teacher, and then you teach all these different levels. So I was like, okay, cool, that's a little bit different. And then we talked about like my work schedule. And one thing that kind of scares me is that I don't know where I will be placed. They do have multiple branches across Seoul. And the closest one was the one I went to interview at. But they have 2 more branches that are farther towards to the east side. So currently, if I get placed at where I went to get interviewed, my commute would be like an hour and a half-ish. But then the second location would be like an hour and 45 minutes. And then the third one, which is the newest one that they're building in a city called Hanam, that one was going to take me like freaking almost a long time. So at the interview, we actually looked at my commute to all these branches and she goes, yeah, maybe not at the Hanam branch for you. I'm like, thank you. I really appreciate that. So I don't really know where I would be placed. But overall, I'd say the interview went better than I anticipated. The conversation was very easy, and then I felt like we had a pretty mutual understanding of what we were both looking for. And at this point, like 1 hour had passed, and I thought, that's it, right? But she stands up and she goes, oh, okay, so I think I'm going to go out and then get the second person. I was like, wait a minute, second person? Wait, what? So I got double screened, okay? And then when the second person walked in, like immediately I knew this was a boss biz. Like The presents changed, the questions kind of changed as well. And again, the conversation was pretty good, but I didn't want it to get a I didn't want it to I didn't want to let it get into my head. Thank you. I had way too many chicken nuggets and now my brain is like hollow and full of processed food. So we chatted for another 30 minutes. So all in all, I got out at like 9, which was kind of late. It's almost like my regular class time. But I had a good feeling. I didn't want to put too much hope into it, so I continued. What is it? I continued the job search. I continued to apply to various places. Like I even like looked up some places on Craigslist too. I know it sounds sketchy, but I've had friends who found good jobs through Craigslist. So I was like, you know what? Let me give it a try. So when I got home the next day, like this is about Thursday, I got an email. So they asked me if I could do like a mock lesson. They said that, all their candidates have to do a mock lesson and they just want to see, what kind of teacher are you? What is your teaching style? So I kind of sort of started preparing for my mock lesson, but I couldn't do much on Thursday because Thursday was actually my sister's birthday back in the States. So it's my Friday. So on Thursday and Friday, I try to start a little bit, but Friday was mainly spent FaceTiming with her because I haven't spoken to her in a while. Just want to catch up, see what's going on. How was her birthday? How is everything? She's in high school. So, we be angsty out there. And also there's a lot of pressure on what you're doing now and what are you going to do in the future in college. So she's in that little tornado and you know how it be. Then after that, Saturday comes around and Saturday I actually debated what I wanted to do. I was debating over, do I want to edit my videos or do I want to wrap up my mock lesson or do I want to what else do I want to do? Or do I want to prep for my classes on Monday? And I couldn't decide because on the Saturday I actually had to sub in for a class. So I had to go to my branch from 9:30 to 12 to teach a class. So after class, I am tired, yes, but also I didn't want to waste my day. Like I still have half of a day, so what are you going to do? And I decided, you know what? How about today we just take a me day, take an off day, just have a me day, and then tomorrow we can grind. And finish the mock lesson, record it. I had to record it on Zoom and then send it over. Record it on Zoom and then prep my class for Monday. That was my original plan. So after I got off of work, I headed to like a strip. It's not like Soho, but it's a strip in Seoul. It's called Garosu-gil. Probably pronouncing it wrong. Excuse me. But that street is full of like kind of like trendy shops. And I went there because it was the closest Arket next to me. And I wanted to go to Arket because their totes, I have one of their totes. It's like a very long tote. It's a pretty good quality for 15,000 won. That is my alarm to post YouTube shorts from like almost a month ago when I still did Project 50. Hey Siri, turn off my alarm, please. All right, that works. Nice. So I wanted to go to Arket. Usually I would have gone to the one by the Hyundai, but it was much too far from where I was. And I still wanted to do some things around Seoul. So I decided to go to the one in Garosu-gil for the first time. That was a mistake because I don't know why that day, maybe the people were just having a bad day, but it was not a very good experience there. So I got my tote and I just kind of left. But they came out with another colorway. So I had the olive green one and then the text is in black. Recently, I discovered that they had a blacked out version. So like the tote is black and the lettering is also black. I was like, ooh, this one would do much better for work setting because I didn't want to get the olive one dirty. So I'm like, if it's black, it can't get dirtier. So I went there, got the tote, and I'm like, now what's next? That day I had asked Taro what he was up to, and then he said, well, he needed to go to DDP, so the Dongdaemun Design Plaza. I could be wrong. Because over there is kind of like a fabric outlet that he needs to visit because currently he's working on like a tote project. He's trying to make a bag and then he wants to sell it and he wants to incorporate his photography into it. So very cool stuff. And he needed to get some like a very specific measurement of Velcro. So there is like that outlet there and then we wanted to visit there. But he wasn't available until 4 o'clock. So I'm like, oh shoot, what am I gonna do until 4? Because I wrapped up at Arcade at around 2. I'm like, I got 2 hours to kill. I don't know what to do. So I looked at the map and where we were meeting up at DDP is actually very, very close to this famous place, a famous flea market called Dongmyo Market. So I was thinking, should I go visit? Like I could. But should I? I'm a little broke. But should I? I ended up going because I needed to kill time, right? I went to McDonald's. I had a McChicken. I like tried to watch some YouTube videos, but my phone was kind of dying and I didn't want to have a dead phone, which I couldn't communicate with Taro, then how the heck are we going to meet up? So I decided to put my phone away and I'm like, you know what? Let's just take the subway, go to Dongmyo and see what's poppin'. So I went there and immediately I just see like thrift shops, thrift stores, thank you, everywhere. But I'm not looking for clothes per se. I was looking for maybe like film camera, which I really don't need, so I don't even know why I'm looking for them. Film cameras or a cassette. Wow, did you hear that? A cassette tape player. There we go. Because a few months ago, I was very, very obsessed with this idea of anything analog. Like right now, I'm on an all-time vinyl hype. I have purchased so many vinyls for artists in the States, and I have them shipped it to my home. Not here in Korea, because then shipping would be crazy. So I would pick up all of those albums once I go back in a few years. And let me just tell you how many LPs I've accumulated just this year alone. Like it has been crazy. I need to stop. That's the reason why I'm broke. I have Everything Everywhere All at Once, the OST vinyl, okay, from Amazon. I pre-ordered it. I also ordered the Daniel Caesar Never Enough album. Love that album. And then Target was selling like an orange version. I love ordering. Well, I love orange and I'm obsessed. So, of course, I had to order it from Target. So, that's 2. Then, Boy Genius came out with The Record. I would take that album to my grave. And I ordered it from Target again because they had this like solar burst or sunburst version of the vinyl. So, it's orange again. And, of course, I had to have it. I have to have it. Can you tell how many brain cells I have left in my brain? So I ordered it again. However, when I went to one of the vinyl shops here, I was listening to that album on repeat for so many weeks. It was insane. I couldn't get it out of my head. It's really, truly a masterpiece. I saw it here in Seoul, and all of my brain cells decided to just say, oh, consumerism. So I bought another one. So I have 2 of the same album. One in the US, one with me here in Seoul. And I replayed that album so many times. So I think it's worth it. But in retrospect, once I go home and I get this solar sunburst version, I'm probably going to sell this regular vinyl. Because why would I need to? Someone else can have it. And then I also bought the Mac Miller NPR Tiny Desk vinyl. That one, I paid international shipping. It was like I got possessed by myself. Like I had no inhibition. And I just started buying so many albums. And then I bought another one. The most recent one is Bewitched by Louis V. because that album also, it's something that I am so obsessed with it. I have been listening to it nonstop, so much so, okay, I'm gonna pull everything together. It's a full circle. So much so, when I went to Tongmyo Market, I saw a cassette tape recorder the moment I took a right. And I see it on the stand, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, this was something I wanted since like April. But I couldn't find one that is like I couldn't find one that was a decent price and also still retain the recording function. I really wanted the recording function because I figured out the way to record the songs from Spotify to a cassette to a cassette tape. So I looked at it and I'm like, I don't know if it works, and I have no way of testing it. At the time, it did have like a cassette tape in it, but it was dead. So I was just messing with it for the longest time. And I noticed I could click all the buttons except the recording button. So I'm like, is it because there's no battery or is it really broken? I think I stood there for like 15 minutes. And then one of the guys who was who was watching over this stand came up to me and then just popped into batteries. And then he played it for me. So he was showing me that it works. But then I'm like trying to click the recording button, but it wouldn't work. But I'm like, wait, at least this one can play tape, right? Maybe I just need to plug in something to make the mic work. So I asked them, how much is it? They go 30. And then I'm still holding this and I go, I've never really haggled before, but let's just give it a try. Like if they don't give it to me lower than 30, then I'll walk away. So I go like, how about 25? And then this guy yells behind him, 25? And then another ajushi goes, oh, okay. So I bought it for 25. And then I looked it up on eBay. And on eBay it was selling for about 45. And most of them are broken, like just parts for repair. So I was like, hey, I think I got a good deal. So I only had this Ajuma tape inside, and it's playing some, I can't even, like the music it's like trot. And I thought to myself, wait, now I have a cassette tape recorder. I would like to, play some music. So I looked up the closest record shop next to me, or where I was the Seoul record shop. I went in there, didn't have anything I was looking for, so I wasted my time there. I knew there was another one, which is the one that I often go to and spend my paycheck. It's called Dope Records. And I was like, okay, Dope Records is a little bit farther, but it's close to home. So maybe on my way back, after I go through everything with Taro, when we go home together, we can stop by Dope if he's fine with it. So I went to meet him at DDP. We went to the outlet, and then we saw we saw the Velcro that he was looking for, but the store was closed, so he probably has to come back another day. But we found like the store number, so it's easier for him to come back. And then they also had like a phone number on the store sign, so we took a picture, and then we walked around DDP. There was this like traditional fried chicken place. It was so cheap. One chicken, okay, for the record, it was like a tiny chicken. One fried chicken was only $5. So we ate there, and then on our way back, I said, I got this cassette tape recorder. Do you mind if I stop at Dope? I want to see if I can buy any like tape so I can go home and play with it. He was like, okay. So we went there, and then while on the way there, I was looking at their Instagram, seeing like what do they have in stock. Luckily, they had like a reprint of Cigarette After Sex. It's an album called Cry. And then I didn't know that album. I knew another one, and it was on my vinyl bucket list. See, I need to stop buying vinyl. They're expensive. And I was like, ooh, they have this one. Let me listen to it. And it was a good album. So I thought, if I go there and I can find it, I'm going to buy it. It was the first thing I saw when I opened the door to Dope Record. So I grabbed it so fast. And I tried to look around to see if they have any like jazz cassette tape, which there wasn't any. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And the tape itself was not too bad. It was only 16,000 won. So probably like 14 or 15 bucks. And I'm like, okay. So when I went home, I played it. And like the nostalgia of playing something from it's not going to be, high fidelity, or it's not going to sound freaking 4D. But there's just something special about doing things the analog way. But it bothered me so much that I couldn't use the cassette tape player for how I wanted to. Can I just take a second and just have a short meeting with my brain cells? Okay, I think we're good. It bothered me so much that I couldn't record using this cassette tape. After I took a shower, so when I was taking a shower, I was playing the tape through the player. I stood there after I step out of the shower, and I just opened the cassette tape player, right? And I was looking at all the components. And then I tried to click the record button. Like when I click it, it sounds like this. It's stuck halfway. And I'm like, why is this stuck halfway? So I was looking at all the parts. I didn't want to open it because I feel like if I open it, I probably might disconnect something. But I was looking at the parts and then trying to see where this button leads to or which part it triggers. And then I can see that at the bottom of the cassette tape, there is this sort of like a spring lever. And when I click the record button, it couldn't push itself to pull the lever all the way. So I try to use my finger and assist it, but when I tip it with my finger, the spring can retract. And I'm like, what if I find something so skinny that can loop around the spring and pull on it so that when I click the record button, it can sort of assist it and trigger the lever? Maybe the record button will work. So I was taking this risk. I'm like, listen, if you mess up, you probably can't even play this tape anymore and you wasted $16 on cigarette after sex tape. Wait, I should not say that together. Cassette tape. And then I was like, you know what? It keeps on bothering me. I'm gonna give it a try. So what my genius idea was, I grabbed my dental floss. I used a tweezer to loop it underneath the spring. It's like a very tiny spring. And then I looped it around the lever and I pulled it and I used the battery tray. And I put the dental floss underneath the battery tray and then I kind of close the compartment so it locks it in place. Then I put the tape in and then I clicked the record button and it clicked all the way. At that moment, I was like, holy crap, I'm a whole engineer. Like I was so happy that night. I realized I could finally record the tape. So I tried it out. I plugged like a 3.5 audio jack to my iPad and I pulled up Spotify and I plugged in the other side into the mic jack for my cassette tape player. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my favorite album at the moment right now so I can listen to it on the tape. And this is it. Oh, shoot. Wrong side. I put in the wrong side. Hang on. I'm so proud of this. Like, you don't understand. I spent hours recording on this tape. I felt like I was back in the 80s. I wasn't even born in the 80s. I hope it's not too loud. I can see the whole world. Like you hear this nostalgia just pouring out of the speaker. And if you didn't know this album, it's Bewitched by Loewe. And I'm in love with every song. I listen to this every night. I would play it, and then I would down. I'd hear a solid ground. I'd rather be alone and be making. Like, audio's not bad. Just make me cry. Every way I have tried. And then sometimes you'll hear these little fluctuations in her voice, probably because of the tape. Because I've recorded the whole thing over the Ajuma tape. So if you look at it, like the graphic does not make sense. There's a random lady wearing like this white dress with a, I cannot describe her hairstyle. Just imagine something that's very 80, okay? So I did this, and oh, you can also speed up or slow down, and you can record double time. But I'm not ready to try it yet because I still want to just kind of indulge in this tape for as long as I can before I get tired of it and I record something else over it. But this process was so fun. Like, best $25 I've spent in my life. And I've been just chasing after these old things. I also, when I went back to the States, I found my Sony Walkman. It is all like jacked up. Wait, that's not the right word. It's all dinged up. On the side where the hold button is, it's missing like the edge. Like the plastic has fallen off. It's scraped. It has my name on it. But I was able to put some songs on there, like my absolute no skip songs on there. I call it my Lifeline playlist. And it's been, I don't know, it's been very like a calming thing for me to do. And that's what I did on Saturday, right? So Saturday night, I spent all night freaking burning that tape. Then Sunday comes around because, hey, you had all the fun and games on Saturday. Sunday is time to focus. I had to prep a mock lesson based on, like, they sent me a book, like a chapter of a book, and then they wanted me to prep that lesson. And then I also had to prep my own classes, which I'm taking over a class for 4 weeks. And I haven't really taught it before, so it's just like extra things to prepare, right? So I wanted to do it ahead of time. But then I woke up and I did this terrible thing where I played video games for like 4 hours. So you know how like last time I told you about how I noticed my, bad habit of playing video games after I come home after a long day, and instead of doing something productive or doing something that's worth my time, I just turn myself to PS4 and then freaking play FIFA for until like 2 or 3 a.m. I put it away knowing that it was a problem. But then after that, I don't remember when, but sometimes during that week, it was like I really needed to get away from my mind. So I took it back out and I plugged it back in, and that was the biggest mistake I made, because ever since then I just fell back into the loop of I come home, I try to relax, I want to read, but instead I just play a game until 2. I wake up, I'm tired, and then the cycle repeats. And I after I logged off and I've already lost half of the day, I haven't finished my mock lesson. And I know that Sunday will be my last optimal day to record, because once I start teaching, it's just, I won't have the mental capacity to do that to the best of my ability. So I spend the rest of the day preparing for the mock lesson and then recording it, and it lasted until like 10 p.m. It sounds so unproductive, and I was so angry at myself that night. I just started feeling kind of sick, because it was almost like I love to self-sabotage. I knew I am aware of the consequences of my action, right? I knew that if I took it out, I would give in. I knew I didn't have self-discipline, yet I went through with it, you know? I continued doing what I said I wasn't going to do. And it was like, it felt like going, is Is it thundering outside? Or is my light flickering? I can't tell. Oh my gosh, I can't tell. But I was really angry at myself, and it sounds very passive and also a little bit cowardly, but I felt sad or hopeless in the sense it's like, ah, dang it, I fell back into this loop again. But I am the cause of this problem. Like, I am the root of this failure to stay disciplined. It was like I was addicted to this cycle of falling back in. Because I know I have the capabilities to do all these things within my limited schedule, because I did that for 50 days for Project 50. It was like when I was fresh out of the project, I felt like a different person. You know, I felt like I had a different approach. I felt a lot more fearless. I felt a lot more direct. I felt like I had control over my life. I had control over my will. But eventually that just faded out, and I'm back on that roller coaster of I'm gonna do it. As in, I'm gonna destroy myself one more time. I'm gonna ruin everything I've built up just for this one thing. And that frustrates me. I know what I have to do. Because when you boil down to it, you just have to stay disciplined. You just have to not give in. But I still do. And I've been kind of nagging myself over this fact, and I'm trying to not do it intentionally anymore. And especially with what happened this week, I think and I'm hoping that I would have an opportunity to put this into motion. So Saturday night, I finished a mock lesson. I sent it over to my recruiter, and I hope and pray that I did all right. Monday comes around. What happened on Monday? Let me check. Monday comes around. Did anything happen on Monday? I think no. Thank goodness I had a peaceful day. Monday, nothing happened. And I was, a little scared too, because a day has passed, but I didn't really hear anything back from my recruiter. So because of that, continue to apply to different jobs, and then denied for a few of them. And Tuesday comes around. Tuesday is the day I have to sub for a class. So I'm a little bit nervous because I don't know these students. And although it's not my class, I still want to do a good job. I didn't want to fail their original teacher, because imagine someone else take over a class and just completely mess it up. So I was a little bit scared. And because of that, I think I was tense throughout the day. Plus the fact that I haven't heard back from the recruitment. So I was like kind of on the edge. And then I think at around 6 p.m., I got an email, and they told me that an offer has been extended. And it felt kind of unbelievable because, yeah, I did feel good about my interview. I did feel good about my mock lesson, but I didn't want to anticipate some kind of positive outcome, because if there is none, I would feel kind of defeated. But I did get an offer. It just felt really surreal because I was so stressed about this 2 weeks ago. Last week I got an interview. This week I got an offer. Like, everything was happening so quickly. I wasn't sure if it was really happening. So I looked over the contract and I told them, thank you for extending this offer to me. Give me like a day to look at the details, and I'll get back to you. Basically, by the end of the night, I kind of have my mind made up, but I was afraid to ask for what I wanted to ask. But then the next day, towards the middle of the night, so last night, because it was Tuesday, today's Wednesday, last night I kind of thought, what's the worst thing that could happen, right? I ask for what I think I deserve. Worst thing, maybe they could walk away. or they retract their offer. Like my worst case scenario was that they retract the offers. Like, how dare you? You're so greedy, right? But then I thought of, I endured so much at so many different places. I feel like I'm worth more. So I told him my case. Also, I told him about my commute, and we kind of met in the middle, which is not bad. I will be basically earning the same amount of money, but considering that is my starting point at this new place versus that is what I was getting after my third contract at the same company, I was like, you know what? That's not too bad. It could be a lot worse. And then they also connected me with a teacher who currently teaches there, and she has been there for 5 years. So she's been giving me a lot of useful information. I still haven't had the time to sit down and write down what else I might want to ask. But I'd say she answered probably like 70-80% of what I want to know. So that was a good thing. But, the universe is all about equilibrium. Last night, maybe like an hour after I got my offer from another company, I got a text telling me that there is something wrong with my health insurance. So in Korea, your health insurance, you have a pretty good like health insurance package, and every month they would take out money from your salary to pay towards that. So the amount that you're supposed to pay, okay, so I don't pay it, the company is supposed to pay it. The amount that they take out, let me go back because I had to write this all down today. I had a stressful phone call today, right before I went to work. Where is it? I believe the amount is 3.54% of your total gross earnings before tax. Yep, 3.54% of the salary. And however, apparently there has been an issue where I didn't pay that amount. I shouldn't say I didn't pay that amount. My company didn't pay that amount. So because of that, the national health insurance company reached out to them and say, hey, your employee hasn't been paying the full health insurance deduction. And then I was like, get? Like, this is really bad. I don't really look at my pay stub. As long as the numbers look similar, I'm like, okay, cool, I got paid, right? If there's some kind of fluctuations, it's probably because of overtime or holiday pay. And then my team lead basically told me that, hey, there's something wrong. So when is the best time for you to take a call on Wednesday? And I said, well, anytime before 2 p.m., I'm fine. So today at about like 12, I got a phone call from HR. And then they told me this whole thing like, hey, National Health Insurance reached out to us saying that you haven't been paying full price. And I was like, what? I don't understand. I don't even know how much I needed to pay, which is bad. You should always know how much money they're taking out. He's like, by chance, have you been looking at your pay stub? I'm like, I'm going to be so honest with you. I'm embarrassed to say that I have not been checking my pay stub. He's like, well, I mean, usually people don't unless there's like an issue, if there's money missing. But you've been only paying half of what you're supposed to be paying for 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. So because of that, you have to pay a sizable amount back to the national and healthcare insurance department. And I'm over here like doing my ghetto mathematics. If I have to pay 3.54 of my salary for 24 months, and I calculated everything, I would have had to pay back $2,718, like the equivalent of $2,718. And I'm like, listen, I don't even have that much in my savings right now. And I'm trying to save up for my visa just in case if the visa I want to apply for doesn't work, then I need to have a specific amount of money in my bank account to apply for another one. And then I'm like, I literally did nothing wrong. I literally did nothing wrong. I'm not the person who pays for these things. My company literally supposed to be the one that deducts it out of my paycheck. This is out of my hand, but now I have to suffer the repercussion of paying all that prices at once. I'm like, this is insane. This is insane. So he said, well, like we still don't know how this happened, but we're gonna see if we can help you get some kind of like installment plan. And I'm like, please, because I can't. Okay, the perfect scenario, the perfect solution is that when I walk away at the end of my contract, I get my severance. They can take it out of my severance. Luckily, I have enough to cover this if they use that, like if that's an option. But I feel so unfair the fact that it has to happen this way because I wanted to save half of my severance for my student loans and then the other half of my severance for my own sake. I feel like I've deserved this after working so hard for 3 years, right? But then now I have to feed it all to my freaking health insurance just because there was an error and I was like, I'm experiencing the best day of my life. Well, the best day this year and the worst day this year within like less than 24 hours. Like, what is this heaven and hell going on right now? So when I was going to work, I was so stressed. Like, why me? Secondly, why now? Like, can you pick a better timing? But then eventually, later on tonight, I got an email clarifying like the actual amount I have to pay, which is a lot less than $2,000, but still a lot. And they told me that they were gonna take it out of my October salary. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And he said, well, would you like some kind of like, would you be open to any kind of like, would you need help with installment plan? I'm like, hell yes. So I replied back saying that, would it be a possibility to just deduct it from my severance? Because I'll be okay with that. If not, I would need some kind of installment plan because I don't want it to come out of my October paycheck. I feel like I need it specific in such critical time because a month later I'll be applying for another visa. So I need to pay money. I need to have emergency funds ready in case if things don't work out. So that's that. Like that all happened within last Wednesday to this Wednesday. The amount of emotional roller coaster that I went through, unreal. Unreal. Like but yeah, here we are. Wednesday at what time is it? 10:30 p.m. Luckily, well, I wouldn't say luckily. Luckily, next week we do have national holiday coming up. It's Chuseok, so it's sort of like a Korean Thanksgiving. We don't have in-person classes, but we have like Zoom sessions on Thursday, and then Friday onwards is vacation, and then we come back on Monday. So I have a few days to relax, but also I really need to reorganize my thoughts, and I need to wrap up my project. I think what I really need is to have a day where I stop distracting myself and think about my priorities moving forward. Because between now and when I completed my Project 15, I felt like I undid a lot of the progress that I made back then, which I hate because I sacrificed so much for that project and I accomplished something I didn't think I would accomplish, but now I feel like I threw all of that away and I want it back. I didn't want to go back to who I was. And I feel like I'm better than that. I'm better than the person I was before I did the project. So I will think about what I would do during the vacation days. I do want to have a day or so to just relax, and I want to say enjoy Seoul or enjoy my life. I want to go to the Han River to just sit and maybe read a book or just sit and people watch. I want to, finish the roll of film I have left in my camera, which has been in there for like months since I've gotten back and probably has like bubbles and light leaks, but I just want to finish it. I also kind of want to explore Seoul because I was never a tourist in my own city. And I also just kind of want to binge a series. And I don't know, there's so much I could do. I just need to sit down and think about it. I need to stop and think and stop distracting myself with Instagram or YouTube. And I even thought about getting off of socials for maybe like a week, but I'm afraid because I think posting consistently for Project 15 had programmed me to stay active, to repost reels or say things just so I stay on people's timeline, which is necessary in the like a marketing or branding sense, but I guess for my habit wise is not such a good thing when I can't even find my balance yet. But yeah, that's my chaotic weekend review. I'm sorry I couldn't see you last Sunday, but hey, I'm glad I held out because look at the amount of things that had happened since then. But I'm gonna try to get some rest in tonight. Maybe I'll read a little before I go to bed. I want to really sleep before 12. And you should too. Like, getting enough rest is really important. So thank you for coming here and listening to my 73rd podcast of Lactose Intolerant. It still amazes me that people even want to listen to these mundane things in my life. But I'm glad that, hey, if it's entertaining for you to watch me struggle through life, to have someone else being the same struggle bus, I am here. But I want to remind you that, whatever you're going through right now, if it's tough, it will come to an end someday. And before the day comes, don't give up and don't forget to take care of yourself. Thank you for listening to me this week. Hopefully next week there will be some chaos or there will be some news that I could share with you. Until then, take care of yourself. Stay hydrated. Don't forget to layer up. I think autumn is here. It's getting cooler and I love it. But yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.